Look, there are moments when you don't even realize you are breaking. You just notice small things about yourself changing. You stop reacting the way you used to. You stop feeling certain things fully. You start moving through life a little more on autopilot. And you don't question it at first. Because you are still functioning, still answering, still showing up, still doing what is expected. But somewhere in between all of that, you begin to feel slightly disconnected from yourself. Not enough to call it a problem, but enough to quietly sense something is not fully aligned anymore. And that's where it starts. Not with collapse, but with subtle distance from who you used to be. Modern life doesn't give space to fall apart properly. It expects continuation, even when something inside is not aligned anymore. So people adapt instead of healing. They learn to function through emotional noise, to respond without feeling fully present, to move without understanding why they feel distant from themselves. And over time, this becomes a silent form of exhaustion. Not pain that screams, but awareness that fades. This is where Carl Jung's thinking becomes uncomfortable, but important. Because he wasn't interested in fixing people quickly. He was interested in what remains when illusions stop working. Stay with this, because what follows is not motivation. It is recognition. Carl Jung observed something most people avoid noticing, that human beings don't become whole by adding strength, but by confronting what they avoid becoming aware of. He called this process individuation, a slow internal confrontation where the mind stops escaping itself, not through answers, but through awareness that cannot be ignored anymore. And in that space, something uncomfortable appears. You are not just what you present. You are also what you avoid acknowledging. And you feel this in small moments. When everything looks fine, but something inside doesn't fully agree. When distraction feels easier than reflection. When silence feels heavier than noise. Most people ignore this phase because it doesn't look like a problem from the outside, but internally, it becomes distance from yourself. And this is where understanding begins to separate from repetition. Not everything that feels normal is aligned. Not everything that continues is healthy. There are patterns that slowly change a person without announcement. Let's go into them. Lesson 1. Functioning is not wholeness. A person can function perfectly and still be disconnected inside. That is the first illusion, because productivity hides internal fragmentation very well. You answer messages. You complete tasks. You keep moving. But awareness becomes secondary. And at some point, you stop checking if you are actually present in your own life. That is the first quiet drift. But this is only the beginning. Lesson 2. What you avoid does not disappear. Avoidance is not removal. It is delay. And delayed emotions do not weaken. They accumulate. They appear later in unexpected forms. Irritations that feel too strong. Thoughts that repeat without reason. Moments where nothing feels fully satisfying. Carl Jung suggested something important here. What is not faced internally will eventually influence behavior externally. And this is where tension builds slowly, between awareness and resistance. But something deeper appears when you notice this. Lesson 3. Control without awareness is illusion. Many people confuse control with strength, but control without understanding is just suppression with discipline. You are not healing what you feel. You are managing its expression, and this creates a hidden cost. You become skilled at holding yourself together, but less skilled at understanding what is happening inside. And that difference matters more than most realize, because one leads to integration, the other leads to repetition. Yet even this is not the deepest layer. Lesson 4. Breaking is sometimes alignment. Not every breakdown is destruction. Some are correction. A moment where the identity you built can no longer hold what you are becoming aware of, so it collapses. Not to punish you, but to stop the continuation of something no longer real. Carl Jung saw this as transformation pressure, the mind refusing outdated versions of itself. And what feels like falling apart is sometimes the first moment of truth. Some days feel unclear without reason. No direction feels strong enough to follow. Some moments feel like you're present, but not fully inside your own experience. And sometimes you don't want answers, explanations, or solutions. You just want quiet that doesn't demand anything from you. From broken to unstoppable was never about becoming stronger. It was about becoming honest enough to stop negotiating with what you already know inside. Carl Jung never promised comfort. He pointed toward clarity. And clarity is not always soft, but it is real. And when a person stops avoiding themselves, they don't become louder, they become aligned. And that is where strength begins. Quietly,